Welcome to The Exclusive. I'm your host, Sharon Tharp. I'm really excited because one of my favorite Big Brother players, dream interview, best diary rooms of all time. I don't think that's up for debate. So I'm really happy to welcome Britney Haynes. Britney, thank you for being here.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I kind of want to go back a little bit before we get into just like the finale and everything. How
Okay.
did this come to fruition? Like when you got the call to do BB25, did you know Reindeer Games was at the end of it, or like when did that call happen?
No, so when they brought us to do the time laser segment, which like kind of kicked off the season, it wasn't even like a conversation at that time. At that time, it was very much like maybe we'll have you back at the end of the season to like close the loop on this, if you will. But we didn't even know if we would be coming back for like a second time laser. And so then as it's getting like closer to the end of the season, eventually, I mean, we're talking like pretty short notice. Like they typically work on pretty short notice. They had us back to do the second time laser segment. And at that time, they had like tapped people for interest like right before that. So when we came back and did the second time laser to close the season, we knew about it then. And we knew that between Frankie and Danielle and I, we knew that we were doing it.
Mhm.
So, and we had started to see like speculation on who else was doing it and whatnot. But it was a pretty short window. Like I feel like I found out about it like right before Halloween. And then and then I left at the end of November. So we had about a month.
Okay.
I
And
would
was
say about a month.
was there any hesitation on your part to do it?
No, because it was such a short time. And like I had been asked about Big Brother All Stars 2,
I
but there
figured.
was no way I was committing. That was like during COVID. It was a late delayed season. I had to homeschool my kids. Like there was just no way that I was leaving for that amount of time during COVID. Like there was no way. And so anything that was like a shorter format for me was going to be like, I would love to do that. That sounds amazing. I love going back there so much. It's so much like nostalgia. And I mean, you can imagine it's sort of like going back to your college campus or whatever. Like you go back and what's crazy is the employee retention there. Like everyone stays. It's all the same people. Like it's all the same people from season 12.
That's
It's a ton of familiar faces. Everyone is like still in the mix from when I was there when I was 22. So it's just like family reunion. So anyway, there was no hesitation for me. It was like you're going to be gone for 10 days total, and it's going to be a fun like seasonal holiday special type thing. I thought it was just going to be like really easy and cheerful and cute, and yeah, I didn't hesitate at all. I was like, yes. I don't think I even asked about like payment or anything. I was just like, yeah, I'll do that.
and did it turn out totally different than you thought, or like just because it's very, yeah, it was competitive, like that you knew that, but like there was some social strategy involved and some
And
fun.
they did tell us that there would be some. They just said that it would be more heavily about the comps, which listen, that's not an ideal format for me. But this was my option. You know what I mean? Like do it or don't. If you ask me, would you rather go into something social based or comp based? I'm going to choose social based because I've never been like super great at comps. And even though I can win comps occasionally,
Yeah.
I feel so much more stress about competitions than any other facet of the game. Like it's just where my anxiety spikes and is triggered. And I've never enjoyed that part. Even of the game of Big Brother, it was always like my least favorite part.
Same.
So it's not that I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to go kill this comp game. It's sort of like when I went on Amazing Race. It was like, I mean, I was terrible on Amazing Race. I was so bad. And it's comp heavy. So I knew that that's not like the format where I'm necessarily probably going to thrive the most, but it was the option I had. It was that or nothing. It was that or stay home. So I was like, sure, I'll go try some competitions.
And you did good. I mean, also like last night it was cool to see two women in the end because I know
Yeah.
the show gets a lot of shit for like the comps aren't equitable and stuff, but I do
Yeah.
think Reindeer Games, I feel like they did a better job. But what do you think about the comp?
100% they did a better job. Like Truly, they really did. And what was great about that is that we hadn't really figured that out in the beginning. And so I was very much like promoting this narrative on myself of like, I'm the weakest one. I can't win any comps. And we were targeting like all the comp beasts on physicality when really the comps really weren't that physical. And so it actually worked out great because it's like they never really picked up and said, hey, you know what though? Like all these are puzzles. It was just like we kept pushing this narrative of like physicality and comp beasts, and it was working to get out like these big targets when really like the comps were, they were really pretty fair, pretty equitable. I would say the least physically equitable of all the comps was the one that I went out on. That was
Yeah.
like the only one that I was like, okay. And even then it was partially puzzle,
Yeah.
but listen, it was still a little bit, come on. It's a zip line.
It's a zip line. Taylor got a little bit of heat for like saving Nicole over you. People were
Yeah.
like, oh, what did you think about that?
I was shocked. I really was shocked because Nicole had won a ton of comps and she historically has won a ton of comps. I feel like my goal at that time was to position myself to be the weakest one intentionally so that I would be carried along when someone had safety. That was a part of my strategy and why I put Danielle up for elimination in the hamster wheel, because I wanted that spot of, oh, I want to take her to the end. Like I wanted to secure that spot for myself. And so I thought that I had done a really good job of that. And then I also thought that it just made the most sense for her to choose me. And I feel like I had a really good argument that like they didn't show on the show. Like they
Oh,
didn't show very much of us like pleading our case to her or whatever. But I felt like my argument was like super solid and very, I don't like very, very good points were made. And so when she didn't choose me, I was really surprised. I really was, because I was like, what? And I don't know. I don't know exactly what went into her decision, but I assume that she in some way felt indebted because Nicole had not sat her out of the competition the day before. And so in retrospect, I thought that I would earn her loyalty by not sending her into the hamster wheel. Like that was another facet of that decision was, oh, if I don't send Taylor, she'll owe me, like she'll pay me back down the line. Like she'll see like this is an olive branch and pay me back down the line. And it just like didn't work that way.
yeah.
I wanted that safety spot 100%. And I tried to get it. I thought that she was going to take Xavier. I was really surprised when she took Nicole.
Yeah, the Nicole one was surprising. I haven't talked to her yet, but she said she has her reasons, and I believe her. But like, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't. Well, speaking of the Danielle of it all, I know Danielle was upset to some extent. Again, I don't know how much, but like, have you guys talked? Are you good now? Like, what do you think looking back? Was that still the smart move for you?
I don't know. It didn't work. I will say it didn't work out the way that I thought it would. Which was that I thought it would weaken Xavier because I thought that they were working together hardcore. And then B, I thought that it would gain me a lot of loyalty from both Josh and Taylor. I thought that they would both see that as like, thank you, like we owe you one back type of situation. And I don't really feel like it worked out the way that I thought it would. And I'm not too proud to say if I made a mistake, and possibly I did. I don't know if it was the right move. Long game, I don't know how much it really mattered as far as how the ultimate ending of Reindeer Games. I don't know that it necessarily disrupted what would have happened anyway. However, maybe it was the wrong move. I just didn't feel super safe with Danielle. She was working with that 4-person alliance. They were working really strongly together. And, in retrospect, of course, and like whenever she spoke with you and things, it's like, oh, I had her back. She was my number one. I didn't feel that. I really didn't. Like that was just news to me. Yes, we had talked about working together and we were in the Girls Alliance, but like the day before, literally the day before, when we got to save someone from the other team, she was the only person who spoke up to save Xavier. The only one. Taylor immediately said Nicole. Josh was on board with Nicole. It was Danielle who said, should we save Xavier? That was a huge red flag to me. Like, why would we save Xavier when he's going to go against these other two guys? Like, why would we save him? That didn't make sense to me. It was just like a lot of smaller details that led up to me thinking her and Xavier were each other's number ones.
Mm.
Um, and I know that she was super hurt by it. And I know that it was very like shocking to her. It wasn't something that was like premeditated or that I had planned on. I thought that it would work out in a way that benefited me in the game. Did it? I don't really think so.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
really think so.
yeah, and also like the whole Frankie, Danielle, and you of it all. Like, I don't know how many conversations you actually had or what you can even say or pregame in this kind of thing. Like, yeah, we'll try to look out for each other. Was it more of like, yeah, we've been hanging out a little bit, so like, cool, we'll try to look out for each other? Were there like deep conversations?
Yeah, like it was very loose. And then I also knew that Frankie didn't really trust her and she didn't really trust him. So that alliance was never really very strong because I knew that each of them didn't really trust the other. They both had reasons not to trust the other. And so I knew that I could not like count on that whatsoever.
Yeah.
And the 4-person alliance, I feel like if, especially after the first two people go home, after Cameron and Cody left, that 4-person alliance stood out more as far as just socially, they stuck together really hard.
Mm.
And I feel like it was just really, it was more obvious in the sense that they looked out for each other all the time and were strategizing all the time. And it, we could just tell, you could just tell that they were working together. And you could probably say the same about Frankie and Nicole and I. If you asked them, they would probably say the same, like, yeah, they were obviously working together. But I mean, you could just kind of tell. And even after the fact, Xavier said to me, he was like, I would have lost for Danielle and Taylor. I would have fallen on my own sword. I
Wow.
would have thrown my game away for them. Like that's how strongly he was protecting Danielle and Taylor. And I mean, I think he would be fine with me saying that because he said that. He was like, I would literally have done anything to protect them in that game. Okay, so what do you do with that? Like that's not workable. That's not a workable situation. You can't social game that. There is nothing you can do about it except for to try to break it up.
Mm.
There's nothing else that you can do. I want to be on good terms with Danielle because I really do just love and respect her. I know that she took it really hard. So I hope that she'll come around eventually. But it basically just came down to uh, if she truly had my back that much, if I was truly her number one, that's surprising to me because I never really felt that.
Okay. Well, that's unfortunate that you guys couldn't get on the same, but like, but Josh even mentioned there was a lot that we didn't see, just like with people bonding and like hanging out and like,
Yes.
so like that when you talk about like, oh, those what you can see, we didn't see a lot of that probably, right?
Yes. And then also I'm like, I think that I went into it a little bit paranoid because I didn't have any like strong associations with any of these people except for Nicole. And I knew that they all did.
Hmm.
So it was like, I've seen you guys hanging out on Instagram. I've seen these two people together at the BB25 finale. I've seen that. So I knew that all of these people knew each other in other ways. And so I felt a little bit disadvantaged from day one on that, as far as that goes. And so I think that probably led into my mentality of like, oh, how well do they really know each other? How much do they really talk? How much have they really been hanging out? And there really was a lot of that. Even though I feel like this game design was set up to not make those relationships as important because a lot of it was about comps and there's just nothing you can do about that. I think it did still factor. I mean, you had Cody and Frankie come in as each other's number ones. What am I going to do about the fact that you played a season together? I mean, the season 16 alliance, what can I do about that? All of these people who are friends before Reindeer Games and on the outside of the house, yeah, I walked in feeling like me and Cameron and I were like the only islands walking into the Reindeer Games. Yes, I knew I knew Danielle and Frankie from Time Laser, but that had literally been like a month before. This isn't like years in the making and we've played together, worked together before. We don't have an established, like super, super strong established foundation of trust or anything like that. I had never met Danielle in my life until we did Time Laser. That was the first time I ever met her. And Frankie, same. I met him on Price is Right for like 5 minutes once and never really had like a conversation until we did that Time Laser segment. So these weren't like super deep, super entrenched for years and years of trust building relationships. They were pretty new, and I felt like everyone had friends out pre Reindeer Games and I didn't. It was me and Cameron. We were like the two walking islands in the lodge.
We could tell obviously with Cameron because he's like just got off the show, whatever.
Yeah.
With you, I guess we did probably from a viewer standpoint associate you more with Frankie and Danielle, but you're right, like it's just a few appearances. It's not like
and Frankie had Cody, who he had like done season 16 with, and I knew that. I knew that he was doing the season 16 thing and really with Cody. Like Frankie was good with everybody. I had seen him work out in Miami with Josh like a month before on Instagram. Like, okay, he was at Soul Cycle with Taylor a month ago on Instagram. Like I knew that Frankie was like in good with literally everybody. And so I think that plants a little seed of paranoia of like, okay, who's really working with who? So when it gets to the end of the hamster wheel and my only choices are Taylor, Josh, and Danielle, part of it is definitely thinking about her wanting to save Xavier. A huge part of it is Xavier coming out and straight up telling me, I put you in to protect her. Okay. I mean, what am I supposed to do with that piece of information? And then a third facet of it was me thinking, okay, if I save Taylor, I think she probably could have survived. But if I don't send her in, that'll make her want to work more closely with me because it's sort of like a favor type scenario. And same for Josh.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. I think I've just gone on like a 10 to 15 minute tangent of very boring strategy. Go ahead.
No, I don't think so. I think people are going to be eating this up. But okay, so the Nicole of it all, like we know, like and share what you're comfortable sharing, but like how much of like that beef or whatever was off camera, on camera, on Amazing, like, and when you went in, did you think, okay, I'm gonna squash this with her, like we'll be okay? Like how? Yeah, talk to me about that.
Oh my God. It was entirely off camera beef. Whenever we were on Amazing Race, we were really close and we worked together and got along great. We were friends for a long time after the Amazing Race. It was really like a pretty singular incident that I won't go into the specifics of. I think that she like loosely touched on it, but essentially I broke her trust outside of the house in the real world, outside of Amazing Race. Like in the real world, I hurt her feelings. And at that time, I owned up to it and apologized at that time. This was years ago. But it was kind of a situation where it was like, I apologize. She still had hurt feelings. We just really didn't talk anymore after that. And so it wasn't like I'm out there. Neither of us were like malicious toward the other, outwardly, but we just really had this breakdown in our relationship and we didn't really have a relationship anymore. So when she walked in, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. I was freaking out because I really thought she was going to like work against me. I was like, oh God, oh my God, oh my God. I was freaking out. So it was like one of the first things that I did was pull her into that snow globe room and be like, listen, I know you hate me, but let's like chill on that just for the purpose of the show. Like I wanted to just like, you might hate me, but think about it logically. It doesn't make sense for you to target me. Like that was my goal of the conversation. And, luckily she was like really receptive and I think we were able to like clear the air really because when I had apologized to her before years ago, it was like on text message and, not like a human to human moment. And so I feel like we really had more of a clearing of the air in that moment. And it was like, okay, like, let's do this. Let's work together. And since we had the personal stuff before, and we had really been pretty close before, like we had been close on Amazing Race and we had been good friends. I was unsure, like, if she was serious about it. Like, I was unsure, like, if I could really trust it at first, because it was like, is she just placating me? Like, okay, yeah, sure, I forgive you, but like, really, she doesn't. So I was like a little bit nervous and having to feel it out for a few days. But then ultimately, obviously, she was like super loyal to me and had my back the whole time, which was great to see. And we ended up completely squashing it. And I think are in a really great place now. So that's good.
That's great. Yeah. That was nice to see. Same thing with her and Cody. Like I like when you see like kind of the end of the story
Yeah,
when it's
yeah.
involved. Um, and just in terms of like people want to see you on back on the show, and Josh said he's like now itching to play Big Brother again. Is that the case for you, or are you like, I'm still good. I don't need to play again?
Um, even John, it's so funny because this is like the only thing that Big Brother alums talk about, right? Is like, are we ever going to play Big Brother again? It's like the only like narrative of our life, which is really amusing. But I don't know. I mean, listen, who knows? If it was like a really short, condensed format, I would probably be interested in it. But I have to say, it's a lot. Like, I'm old in this world. I was like 22 and Twitter was a baby whenever I went on Big Brother 12. I literally went on Big Brother 12 without a Twitter account and came out. My mom had made me one. Like it wasn't even a thing. When I went on Big Brother 14, people were still like posting pictures of their sandwiches. Like it was not, Instagram wasn't happening. And so for me to, I did Amazing Race, but like engagement on Amazing Race is pretty low.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really a similar situation. The attention from Reindeer Games has been kind of unlike anything that I've experienced personally, because like I said, social media was in such like a different place and time in whenever I was doing Big Brother. It's a lot. It's a lot. Like these people on Twitter are very aggressive. It reminds me a lot of why I got off of Twitter in the first place and like quit using it in the first place, which I hear other alums talk about this all the time. And I'm like, yeah, like it's hard or whatever. No, it like these people are crazy. It gives me a little bit of hesitation because I do have a family. I have my kids that I have to think about. I get like a little weird about I don't know. I get a little bit weird and paranoid, not surprising, I know. And so maybe if it was a short format, but I will say it takes a lot more out of a person than what you would expect. Even what I would expect, and I've done it before. And hearing other people talk about it, I'm like, okay, yeah, that sounds hard, whatever. Because I mean, like Josh, I think alluded to the fact that it was always group therapy in our like session. Whenever we would go have lunch or whatever, it really was. Everyone would sit around and talk about like how hard it is to deal with everyone's opinions and people who hate you and all these things. That was difficult for me to even understand, even though I had been on the show. But I was just on the show in such a different time.
Mm.
Having like lived through the Reindeer Games, I'm like, yeah, that is really hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, it's hard to. I try to avoid the negative stuff. Otherwise, I'll just like drive myself crazy. But yeah, it's a lot, and I haven't even been on TV, so I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
But what do your kids think about it? Were they happy to see you on Reindeer Games?
Yeah, they loved it. They had
Yeah.
fun. It's more like, as you would expect, it's more about them than me. They are cool at school now. The friends are asking, the teachers are asking, people are asking them questions. Thus, they're very happy. Like,
Wow.
actually watching me on the show, yeah, that was like a 5 out of 10. But the amount of attention that they themselves are getting from mommy being on the show, that's where it's at. That's the real cool factor there. So
Love that.
I got my Reindeer Games box yesterday. You know how everybody got these boxes full of goodies, and
Yep.
they let us shop that Santa's toy shop set. And so I got all of my kids like one of those bears from that competition where they were doing the toys. So they got those this morning and they're like very happy about it. It's like a cute little Reindeer Games souvenir.
That is cool.
Yeah,
You're
it
the
was nice.
I like that's cool. I don't know. Um, I have to ask you real quick because Janelle and Dan are going to both be on Traders. Are you going to
Yeah.
watch?
Oh my God. Of course. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I can't wait to watch. And I mean, that cast is incredible. Janelle and Dan, incredible. It's going to be amazing. Yes, I cannot wait. I'm going to be like the biggest cheerleader.
I love it. Would you ever do something like The Traitors or another TV show?
I think so. I've talked to them both, and they both had really good experiences, and both Janelle and I love to whine about The Amazing Race and about just how terrible it was, if I'm being totally truthful. So, she's like, "Oh my God, the Traitors could not be more different. Like, it was amazing. They treat you so well. The game is really fun. Meeting all these other people is fun." The way she talks about it, I'm like, that sounds really awesome.
Yeah, and it's short. Like you wouldn't be gone that long, right? So
It's pretty short. Yeah, I think it's pretty short. But I have nothing. I have no idea. I don't even know who does casting for that show. It's so funny because I have no control over any of these circumstances. It's like, would you do Big Brother? I mean, it's entirely out of my control. Would you do Traders? I guess if they like, all I do is sit here, and if the phone rings, it rings. But I'm in absolutely no control in any of these circumstances. I don't know how I was chosen to do Time Laser. I have no idea. I certainly didn't like pitch that to the network. It was just like one day my phone rang and I was like, "Oh wow, I get to go do a time laser." How they come about these decisions, I have absolutely no idea.
okay. Well, I'm here to manifest because it would be really fun to see you. So I'm hoping something happens. But yeah, I feel like we covered everything. I did want to ask, do you have any Kathy stories? Any other ones that we
There was
anything?
my Kathy story that was circulating the other day on Twitter. Did you see that? Is that what made you think of it? That's
Yep.
my favorite story. I always, because rarely does anyone realize that she actually got stuck in the caramel twice. But it took her down 2 times, not one, 2 times. After the men lifted her from the caramel at the end of the competition, she laid down to catch her breath. And then we all went in the house to shower. And they had to go rip her back off of the turf because all the caramel that was on her body stuck her to the turf. And as she laid there, she just got restuck. And they had to come in and ask us to go lift her off. And I think like Brendan and a couple of the guys went out and actually ripped her off of the turf. So she actually went down 2 times.
Wow.
That's my favorite story.
When is the last time you've seen her talk to Kathy, by the way?
Oh my gosh, forever. It's been a really long time. I do talk to Matt Hoffman like regularly, and Matt Hoffman is kind of in touch with most people, and so he'll keep me updated.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
was gonna ask
it
who you
just as time goes on, I saw you interviewed Hayden and I was like, "Oh my God, Hayden," because I haven't talked to Hayden in forever. And like I love Hayden. I hope he's doing well, but we don't regularly chat. It's been over a decade. It's been a
yeah,
really long time since we were on the
well,
show.
like you said, it's like a reunion. It's kind of like you talk to
Yeah.
some people, if you run into them, you're probably fine, but like, yeah.
And especially if you end up doing something together. Like I talked to Rachel, but Rachel and I did Amazing Race together. Like we've recently done this thing. So, that's just kind of how it goes. But I do obviously I'm not like a grudge holder in the game sense. I don't think I hold any grudges. I'm just like I feel nostalgia towards literally every person, even if we were like adversarial or at each other's throats or whatever. I'm like, "Oh, remember that? Remember that guy who I called a Neanderthal? That's funny."
Oh,
Like
so
it's no grudges literally whatsoever.
no,
So,
and I love that you and Rachel are good because like even watching clips from BB12, I'm like, it's just so funny. Like some of the comments that you made are so funny.
if
Uh,
you are going to roast anyone on reality television, Rachel Riley is your choice because she is a absolute reality TV pro. She's there to like show up. She knows what she's doing and she just takes it on the chin and laughs and moves on. She's very self-deprecating. She's very in on the joke. And like I remember I wrote her after she won season 13. I had heard or saw on Twitter or whatever her talk about like all these things that I had said to her, how they like really affected her life and like really affected her and made me feel so bad.
oh
So I
wow.
wrote her this really long apology email. Like, "I'm so sorry I said this about, it was heat of the moment, whatever." And her response to my email was like, "Oh my God, like it's fine. Like we're good." Like I swear she takes nothing that serious. Nothing. Like you
Yeah.
could say anything to her and she just doesn't take it that serious. She's just a good time reality TV professional. She's
Mhm.
like the perfect choice of someone to go up against because A, you're going to make amazing television. And B, she's not going to hold it against you. That is like really just her personality. That's
Yeah.
just really how she is. She's a pro.
Yeah. She's also very sweet. She's the one who actually got me that Hayden interview because I'm
Oh,
friends with.
really?
Yeah. So I love Rachel. She's great.
She's like a central figure in Big Brother. She knows everyone and everybody. If I ever need to like know something, I can just ask Rachel because she knows everything. I know nothing and she knows everything.
Speaking of, I wish we saw her on the show. I do. I wish she was there.
I did. I was like so sure that she was going to be there. I was like absolutely like there's no way Rachel's not included in this mix. I was really shocked that she wasn't. I think she would have been great.
Yeah.
But I think that it'll come back next year, and oh my God, she would be so good at it.
Yes. And season 2, it'll happen, I'm sure.
Season 2, and I think that season 2 will be even better because I'm so honored and happy that I was part of like the first ever because it's just like a really cool thing. But I think that if they continue to do it, it'll get even smoother. They'll like there was a lot of like kinks to be worked out in the behind the scenes. And I think that the process will get because it really was unlike anything that they've done on Big Brother as far as like logistics of filming something like that in such a short time frame. I think it'll be smoothed out and even better. I think it'll just get better and better.
Yeah, especially after a 100-day season. I think that crew is probably exhausted. Anything else before we let you go? Any like behind the scene moments or something we didn't see, or like just your overall experience on Reindeer Games? How was it?
I mean, I could talk about it forever if you just wanted me to just like continue to go. This is what happens. Someone books me for a cameo and they get like a 10-minute soliloquy about who knows what. Like it's I'm the worst about this.
No,
it was great. It was actually so hard. Like you saw us crying every day. And I understand that doesn't translate. I understand people going, why are they crying? This makes no sense. I don't get it. I understand that is how it feels to the viewer. But when you're there and you're doing it, it feels so intense. It feels so intense. You have just like such an internal sense of, I have to do this. Like I have to win. Like I have to. It feels like you are going to die. If you do not win this competition where you're slingshotting at an elf cartoon, you will die. This will be your death. Like it feels so serious and so intense and like you're just trying your absolute hardest and you know that like your people are rooting for you. People who have your back are going to be disappointed if you're not able to do it. It's just a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. And I feel like I existed really well until about day 3. And that's when I cracked. That hamster wheel cracked me. And then I never came back. I was just a shell of a human after that. And I never came back. The first 2 days, I was actually bragging about how I don't cry anymore. I know what the irony of that statement. But the first 2 days, I was like, you guys, I medicate against that now. Like, I'm good. I don't cry anymore. That's like, I haven't cried in months. And then on day 3, I was sobbing, just like full sobs, begging for my life in a blanket, hunched down in front of Xavier, please. Like, so pathetic, so broken. What a broken person. And it's just that intense environment. It just does it to you. I don't know how else to describe it. It just does it.
And like
it out of you.
So silly too. Like people are holding.
It's so silly. It's freaking Santa, and we're gonna save Christmas, and it's ridiculous. But it feels so important. Okay, it feels so important, and I understand that no one can get it, but it really does. I think closing thoughts as well is just how much love I have for everyone who did the show. It was such a fun, awesome group. And though I walked in and felt disadvantaged because they were all friends before me, I have forgiven that. And everyone just like showed up and tried really hard. Everyone was just like there to like leave it all, bleed out for CBS one last time. And I just really appreciate everybody. Like, honestly, everyone was so great. Even if it didn't show a relationship on the show because you're trying to show 4 comps in 1 hour, individually, everyone was friendly. Everyone was getting along. Everyone was having a good time with each other. Really good, like, deep conversations about, like, our lives and traumas. Like, I mean, we like really bonded for real. And I love them all so much. And yeah, it was a really great time and a really awesome cast and a really good experience. It was so hard at the time and I did nothing but complain 24 hours a day. But in retrospect, it was so great.
Oh my God. My mouth hurts from like smiling the whole time. You're cracking me up. Well, Brittany, I like honestly, it was so fun watching you. I hope we see you again for like, even if it's a shortened season. I hope you do it because it's like you're just so fun to watch on TV. So,
They
um,
have to call me. I have no control here. It's
okay.
just, I saw your interview with Josh and he was like, my email's blowing up. I'm like, really? My email's nothing. It's the same old spam ads that I've been getting since Black Friday. No emails. No emails have come through. No offers. I don't know what he's getting. I would forward those, please, because I have no contacts and I have no offers on the table. None.
Isn't Rachel Riley in casting for something at least? Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, but she does a lot of, I mean, I see her casting stuff that she does, and she does a lot of like dating shows. I don't know how that's going to go. I'm a married mom of 3 with a C-section. I don't think that that's very marketable on the dating apps.
That's true. I forgot. Well, okay, we need you on the Traders then. That's got to happen.
Who does it? Who do I talk to? I don't know. Did you see their cast photos came out yesterday and they're so amazing?
They are really good. I think Janelle said hers was like Harry Potter meets Gossip Girl, which I thought was
100%. It's so good. It's moody. It's like moody vibes. I'm very into it. I was like, these are amazing. These pictures are amazing.
Swept. I was like, this looks good.
That's some high budget stuff right there. That's high budget. Yeah. When you see those photos, you're like, this was expensive.
Yes. Well,
can you say that about our Reindeer Games content? I mean, we're taking selfies, people. I'm in the background of Taylor's picture, crouched over, taking her pictures.
Yeah, you are. By the way, for the costumes, did they just give you a rack of clothes to pick, or they specifically picked every outfit for you?
They specifically picked every outfit. And that's unlike typically when you go to Big Brother, you bring all your own stuff, obviously. So I had like spent so much money collecting like all of this stupid Christmas stuff. Like, I mean, I had like blown the budget on just like things to take, even though they said, listen, 90% of your wardrobe is going to be provided. And I was like, yeah, I don't subscribe to that. I'm going to Lululemon. Like, I spent so much money. I bought all this crap, pack it up and get there. And they're like, okay, you're going to go meet with costume. And they literally had what we were wearing every single day. The only clothes that we brought were to like go home and sleep in. And I was like, oh my God, I have to make so many returns when I get home. I have so many returns to make. So the only thing that I wore that was my own was that Slay Queen sweatshirt. And I snuck that in my bag one day because I really wanted to wear that. That was like my favorite item. And I was like, yeah. I'm not going home before I get a chance to show my Slay Queen sweatshirt. So I put that on I think day 3 and wore it around the house. But for the most part, yes, everything was provided. They had us just like try different things on and pick what they liked, which was weird. I had never had that experience before on any show that I've done. I've always had to bring all my own stuff.
Yeah. Could you veto anything? Like, because I know Derek was trying to get rid of the elf hat and they were like, no, you're wearing that.
I didn't try to veto anything. I was just like,
we're leaning in.
Like, this is fine. Yeah. And they sent us all of I got my clothes in my box too. So now I have like holiday wear for the next rest of my life, basically. I have ugly sweaters for an ugly sweater party. I've got a onesie to wear on Christmas morning. I got everything. They sent us all those clothes.
Your girls could dress up as you for Halloween next year.
They could. Minnie actually tried to take some of my stuff and I was like, it's not your size. Stop. She was like, I want this onesie. And I'm like, you have a onesie. Stop. I can't have anything.
Did they ever watch your original seasons or any clips or anything?
Yeah, they've watched some season 14 because it
Okay.
was on Netflix, and they actually like really were into it and really liked it, and they were making all the right choices of who were their favorites. But oh my God, I forgot like how cringy parts of it were until I was watching it with my kids. And like when you're watching it with your kids, things that you normally like wouldn't even commit to memory, you're like, oh my God. Like there's this whole segment where Danielle Murphy's talking about Jen City being the first lesbian she's ever met. I'm like sitting there with my kids, like, what year is this? Like, what time did we transport back to that this was like on prime time television? Like, it was so insane to me. Like, what is happening right now? And then there was like the Frank and Ashley date where they were like making out on the couch, and my kids are just like sitting there like watching, and I'm like, do we need to fast forward? So I'm not even gonna let them attempt to see season 12 until they are of like legal voting age.
Yeah, there's a lot of tequila and
Yeah, we need to be much more. I need their brains to be already mostly completely formed by the time they see season 12. I don't need any, they do not need to know about this period of my life yet. Let's not go there. I thought season 14, because I was already married, I was like, oh, this is going to be like light and fun and easy. But there were several times where I was like, I don't know. This is questionable.
yeah, I wouldn't want to watch myself at 20 in my 20s at all, so that's fine.
Right? Oh my God. It's bad enough to go through your old Facebook statuses. Do you ever get those painful updates?
Yeah, I try to delete them as I see them, but I'm sure there's some rogue weird ones with like lyrics or something.
It's the lyrics. Yes, it's the lyrics. I never realized how hard I rode for Britney Spears until I looked through my old Facebook statuses. It's the cryptic lyrics. Britney is, you want a piece of me? Like that's every day. Every day was just a different Britney lyric. It's so embarrassing. Oh, I
Yeah.
cannot imagine being of the age now where like every single thing that you do and every like piece of your life is so lives on the internet permanently. That's not an enjoyable. That would be the worst.
Yeah. I think the lyrics and the emo like statuses now is like the Instagram thirst traps. Like that's how you get
Yeah.
people's attention now.
Yeah.
I
It
don't
was
know.
the lyrics for me too. I was doing all the lyrics,
Yeah.
all the Lady Gaga lyrics. Yeah, that was my thing. Oh my God, we're alike.
No, I know. I think we're like around the same age, so it makes sense.
Yep.
Well, I don't want to steal you from kids any longer, but
All
Brittany,
right.
this was so nice. Honestly, and please come back anytime if you want to talk about the traders. Can
Okay.
that would
Awesome.
that would be
I'm
really.
definitely going to be watching. So I will let you know. I had a good time too. I can talk for literally ever. I can just go and go and go and go and go.
I'm the same way. I like didn't even write. I was like, I don't want to take too much of our time, so I was like writing questions. Like I could have went a whole another hour of like questions that I would really get into. So
Yeah.
let me know.
I could talk literally forever.
Okay.
Forever.
Well, we're doing something, and we're definitely going to do the traders then because I really want your thoughts on Janelle and Dan when they're playing. That'd be fun.
Okay. I'm super excited.
All right. Well, thank you, Brittany. Have a
All
good
right.
day.